Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the GAIA Daily for August 21st through 24th. How are you doing? Well, we're in a very strange time as we prepare for this Mars retrograde. Mars is slowing down and getting ready to turn. And because Mars is our main action planet, we feel this. It's just bringing up this feeling we've been having all year, and actually really for the last couple of years. We've been dabbling and visiting this place. We keep coming back to it, of being stuck, feeling suspended, between the past and the future. Like we've been kind of pulled out of our timeline, and we're like waiting for some stuff to rearrange so that we can be dropped back in. And so it's a very potent, because the next transit that Mars makes, it already made it square with Jupiter and made it square with Pluto. We're just coming off of that square, now heading into its square with Saturn. Now, Saturn is also an action planet, but a very different action energy. Mars is like, let's go, let's do it, let's make it happen. And Saturn is like, let's build, let's plan, let's get a foundation, let's, gradually make something sustainable. And so in square, though, we're really coming up on all levels of our life, what's keeping us from moving, going, taking action. And since there's a very strange energy, because Venus, that Venus retrograde, it was like not yet out of its shadow at the end of last month when Mars went into its shadow. So it's almost like we're still in Venus retrograde. Isn't that fun? Just a whole year of Venus retrograde energy, because there still isn't a lot of clarity about moving forward. Now, this brings to mind the energy of soul retrieval work. And often we'll get a couple of a month's timeline when we do soul retrieval work in individual sessions. And it's kind of like, okay, well, this is gradually kind of this part of your soul, you're getting it back. It's gradually landing home on Earth, right? And during that period of time, it's not a good time to make huge decisions or, launch a big new business or anything like that, because it's like you're half in, half out. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you're doing. And this energy, since Mars had already gone into shadow before Venus came out of shadow just by a couple days, but it's like that Venus retrograde never resolved. Now Venus is in Cancer, and it's been bringing up grief around whatever came up during the Venus retrograde. This lack of direction, lack of purpose. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't know who I am. And this is just continuing. It's like we're big in this big soup, but maybe it's because we're in such a big radical shift that we have to just be in this weird suspended place as we make this leap or turn this corner or whatever is trying to happen. Because Venus, this last week of August is very potent. We've got that Mars square Saturn. And just before the Mars square Saturn, Venus opposing in Cancer, opposing Jupiter. And then after the Mars square Saturn, opposing Pluto. So it's like Mars and Venus both in the mix, and bringing up this feeling of retrograde, of both of our planets, our masculine side, our feminine side, our action, our receiving, are all at rest and in between and suspended. And so the Venus opposite of Jupiter and Pluto is bringing up feelings especially for the SuperNova Soul, particularly for the SuperNova Soul, around feeling at home in Cancer, home and nurtured on the Earth. Because it's like the structures of this 3D reality and this Earth evolution, they're not made for you. They don't fit you. They don't support you. It's like it works against you just by nature, right? And so in order to be here and stay alive and exist and just, barely function, you got to turn your light down, fracture yourself into pieces, and be kind of incognito in order to just kind of kind of somehow squeeze yourself in, into this reality. And so that's what has made the supernova soul kind of partially incarnated. And a lot of this astrology is about coming home. And this Venus in Cancer is really bringing this up because now these oppositions are bringing tension, where the structures of this world don't support the energetic truth of the supernova soul. And deep grief around this, because it's very connected to the other thing that's happening is that the South Node is on the Galactic Center. And so this is bringing up deep grief, planetary grief, and grief around where you feel like you failed. So maybe part of the deal, part of the reason that you're not fully incarnated here is that you might feel like you don't deserve to be because you have some idea, deep programming in your psyche that you failed on your mission or something. It's like the more uncomfortable the energies on the planet, the more these feelings come up for the supernova soul. Now, it's interesting because I've had a lot of sessions lately where there's energies come up. It's like, well, when you're not in a body, you're a very evolved soul and you're working on timelines, you're supporting people in timeline work, you're highly proficient on this, but you're here on Earth in a 3D body. You can't do that work here. And it's this horrible feeling of being stuck. There's something huge I need to be doing, but I don't know what it is. I don't deserve my path and purpose. Like, what is the point of being here? I just this big empty loss and void type energy is coming up from these Venus transits. It feels like of the combination of this Venus opposite Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn about the structures of our life. Venus, can you receive? And the mother energy, the nurturing. And so this connection between our path and purpose, our destiny, and failed destiny, or where you got off your path and purpose, and then whether or not you deserve or can allow yourself, or this earth, whether or not this earth can support you in your true energetic form. And gosh, that really fits this half in, half out, partially incarnated, maybe trying to land home here type of energy. And it's really fascinating, this timeline stuff, because it's like, yeah, like you're here, you have to drive this car, the 3D car. That's all you get right now. Or yes, we're moving, and it's about you bringing those higher dimensional energies to the earth by embodying them. But it's this it's important to kind of recognize this feeling that comes up that has to do with, it's like evidence, and like it's the only thing that makes sense of, like, it's just like you're an advanced soul and you're stuck in this other dimensional frequency where you only have partial access to your gifts and skills. And it's like, then you feel responsible, right? So the grief around your destiny and not being on your true path. This is for most supernova souls, they feel this way, right? It's like a struggle. And then the Venus retrograde, it's all about that. It was like, what am I doing where I thought I was going, and all I was working for doesn't really fit who I am. And I am completely lost, so that kind of energy. And so, but that makes sense, And so this failed responsibility is really connected. And this is, I feel like, this planetary grief coming up right now with Venus in Cancer. And it's because of the South Node, South Node, Galactic Center activation, and it's just like bringing all to the surface, deep subconscious, like lifetime, might be multiple lifetimes where you feel like you were thwarted in your mission here. And then you feel like you don't deserve your mission and you don't even want to be here, and we're not even getting anywhere, and the earth is going to shit and it's all your fault, but not really. But for some reason, supernova souls, again and again, as I read them, they feel like it's all up to them, And that's an interesting energy, because under all the work we're doing right now, it's like all of these issues are exactly what's keeping the supernova soul from finding each other. So that's kind of cool to know, like what's coming up right now is what's in the way of you receiving the support and connection, and maybe this whole idea that it's all up to you and you failed, or, some deep subconscious belief systems around this is keeping you from receiving the support and the other people that can validate who you are. See, a lot of the grief around this lack of purpose, that you have a huge purpose. It's actually that you're not feeling like you can execute this purpose, right? It's so huge. And then all these subconscious things, a fear of your destiny, can you handle it? Can you handle your power? Can you handle your potency? And, but it looks like all of this stuff around responsibility, your destiny, and everything, it's like that is the stuff that's in the way of you finding your soul group and really getting to work on the projects you came here to do. That's a big thing. It's like, okay, well, part of the deal with not being able to find how you're going to execute your path and purpose and destiny has to do with there might be other people involved that haven't been able to come into your life because of all of the things that are coming up right now. Because it's like part of you made this decision already way before you came to Earth. It's the whole only reason why you're here, right? To like lead ascension, to be a part of the change, to live and breathe a higher frequency dimension and show what's possible for humanity. And so you've already said yes to this new timeline. So, and that's a lot of things that's coming up around like all of these issues causing a resistance to moving into the higher frequency vibrations and stepping over in that threshold. It's like, oh, I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. I had this subconscious, this deep subconscious stuff, failure and your destiny. And so all of that stuff is exactly what's in the way. And this is this Mars Saturn, right? It's like Mars and Saturn both want to go and build and make something happen. And we're up against the wall, and there's an interesting energy here coming up, a lot of like, well, we have to wait till the right time. And that is true on some level. There's definitely energetic, but it's like, we are the right time. If we are here to lead the way, then we are the right time. And throughout history, no matter what age and what the energies and, all that stuff and the astrology and all that, masters have stepped over into enlightenment in their light body, whenever they, this is open at any point in time. You can do this. You don't have to wait for the right time. So there's some programming around that, like in the spiritual community of like, oh, well, because it's like, I've been shown again and again, all these changes we want to see in the world happen when we tip the scales vibrationally. And that's exactly what the SuperNova Soul is here for. You just living and breathing on the planet is a threat, an energetic threat to the lower matrix, So our vibrational capabilities that we don't maybe even know we have, maybe this is this unincarnated part of ourselves, but it's like we have everything to step over into these higher frequency energies whenever we're ready. And we don't have to wait for anybody or anything. And it's like, that's the 100th monkey. That's the place we get to where there's like, a critical mass of people holding a higher frequency on the planet. Also, the souls coming in right now, these starseed, just powerful master beings, like masters that have walked the earth before. They don't even need a body. They're coming, they're being born. We've got beings who have never been on the earth. They're like so evolved, they're just like these, magical crystal diamond children or whatever. And all of these things are inching up the vibration, right? And everything we're seeing in the world is because of that. The breakdown is happening as a result. It's a symptom of the energetic frequency change. And so, just kind of an interesting energy of where are we in resistance? Like what part of what's happening in our life, like maybe the trauma after trauma after trauma, even though it's like, it's real, it's happening, and the targeting and the heaviness and the just, it's all coming up right now, But on the other hand, like, what is there any of that has to do with our resistance Yeah, and this is, I'm seeing again and again, like this powerful energies of these ascension energies coming in, and we're trying to this Mars retrograde being all about trying to just like get a handle on how to exist in these higher frequencies, so it's like it's happening to us, and then maybe that's creating subconscious resistance. And the thing is that what I'm being shown around the soul group thing is that you guys, when there's two or more, right? It's like, but a whole group, imagine like you're stabilizing your frequency. You're supporting each other. Like, oh yeah, you're here for this. This is why we're surrounded by people who aren't here for this, because they don't ever want us to identify with who we really are as a spiritual being. They want us to stay in the, such control paradigm to keep these souls, supernova souls, off track, right? And so it's interesting that stabilization that can occur with working with your soul team, and how much energy is working against these souls finding each other, and how much of that has to do with this lockdown, to just keep us from coming together in our energy, stabilizing, recognizing our path and purpose. Really, it all comes down to this. This is the next step. And it's not like, oh, I don't know, maybe I have a soul group. It's maybe, I don't know, maybe I don't know if I believe it. It's like, no, this is the necessary next step to the process. And so, but then you got to do your own work of blocking, because if those soul group members show up in your life and show you a reflection of who you are, and you can't receive that, you don't feel worthy of that, then you're going to run and block and make a problem with all of it, and this is a huge energy going on right now. The Venus in Cancer speaks to this, of those blocks that supernova souls have to receiving, and they feel like, I want this. Why can't I have this in my life? Why can't everybody just figure out this life? And why is it so hard for me? Why can't I just have a roof over my head? Right? And it's like, well, because you're here for something greater. And it's time to receive that, right? So ultimately, the lack of ability to receive in the supernova soul is a lack of ability to receive who you are in your highest expression, this bigger self, these gifts and skills that you have, which it's like, it's exactly your problem, right? Everything that's wrong about you is actually right about you. And you don't fit in here. You're not of this world. So stop beating yourself up for you're here for spiritual ascension. And as you move through these frequency vibrations more and more, it's like this physical is just kind of a movie, this Maya. And moving into these frequency vibrations that can support us energetically as the energetic, higher frequency vibrational beings we are, and get over the flailing around on the earth. It's like trying to make the same old pattern, the same old way work. And this is this Capricorn energy. It's like, no, those structures have got to be dismantled. Whew, so it's huge, and it's like all this is happening, such a big energetic shift. And yet again, we feel like we're just suspended and stuck and, waiting for a pass, and maybe that's this, maybe all this astrology is pointing to those places of resistance. So we can be like, oh, I don't have to wait. I mean, as much as your soul group is going to stabilize you, maybe you're here to show the way for them too. Step over and then they come, you don't have to wait for anything. Do your work here to fill yourself up with your light, and then everything else can come in. Easier said than done, but it's all coming up right now, and super dynamic. Even though it feels like we're not going anywhere, you can notice through the day, it's like, oh, this, and then this, and then this, and this. It's like things can shift. And then that problem, that was such a huge problem, could resolve on its own, and so it's like so much is trying to happen. Again, the same theme. And then it like feels like actually nothing's happening. So just sit tight. We're in such a strange time right now. And this whole last week of August is so potent with Venus opposing Jupiter. So this is about our ability to receive and feel worthy, love and nurturing and care, a nurturing world concept of the Great Mother. This feels like what's coming up for the SuperNova souls. And then it's in opposition of those structures, the old beliefs, the religious constructs, the programming, the mind control, the targeting on all levels. It's all just like, it's like a showdown, right? And Venus is like, she really wants to figure this one out, learn to receive. And for the SuperNova soul, great timing, so we're being shown all the structures that are in the way of us moving forward and feeling like we are taking action in the Mars, and then all the structures that are in the way of receiving. It's alchemical time, very, very potent and powerful. And then Venus and Mars come into a square. Right? So right now they're both triggering these planets. And then right before Mars hasn't even turned retrograde. We're already so in the energy, but right before Mars turns retrograde, Venus and Mars come into a square. So it's a showdown, and we've got to find a new way forward. And if we can keep that presence, that everything we need right now is shown to us. It's not, it's like, yes, we'll figure out how to receive it. But right now we're being shown what needs to get broken down and dismantled. And so incredibly potent Venus opposing Pluto right at the end of the month. That'll move us right into September energies. And then Venus squaring Mars and Mars turning retrograde. So stay tuned. Have a great weekend. Hang in there. Be present, because there's so much information. Like, tap into the subtle dynamism, right? It's like homeopathy. You're using a tiny, tiny little amount of the substance, one drop, and then diluting it again and again and again. It's very subtle. And that's called, this dynamis is the dynamic vital force that is what brings all back into equilibrium. It's like the life force, and so on the table with this Mars energy. And so know that there's a subtle dynamism happening where that remedy, that one little drop of substance, energy, person, experience, knowledge, wisdom, happening could be a massive remedy that helps you turn that corner. So hang in there, have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.